The massive screen in Earth's Defense Command Center pulsed with red warning signals. Admiral Tom Stone stood with his hands clasped behind his back, his weathered face illuminated by the holographic display, showing thousands of alien ships approaching the solar system. "How many?" he asked, his voice steady despite the tension in the room. 3,247 warships, sir," replied Captain Mike Wilson from his monitoring station. "They just passed Neptune's orbit. Their energy signatures matched the same aliens who destroyed the Mars colony last year." Admiral Stone nodded slowly. He had expected this day would come. The aliens, after testing Earth's defenses with smaller attacks over the past few years, had finally committed their main fleet. What they didn't know was that Earth had been preparing for this moment for 2 decades. "Show me the footage from the destroyed colonies again," Stone ordered. The main screen shifted to display recordings from various human outposts that had been attacked. The pattern was always the same. The alien fleet would arrive, ignore all attempts at communication, and reduce everything to ash. "Begin broadcasting the warning message," Stone commanded. "All frequencies, all known alien communication methods. I want them to have no excuse." The message was simple but clear. "This is Earth's Defense Command. You are entering restricted space. Turn back immediately or face destruction. This is your first and final warning." In the command center of the alien fleet, High Commander Reed watched the primitive human message with amusement. His scaled skin gleamed under the purple lights of his bridge, and his 4 eyes blinked in sequence, a sign of contempt in his species. "These humans think they can threaten us?" he asked, his translator converting his clicks and whistles into standard galactic speech. "They barely have ships that can reach their own moon. Their most advanced weapons are simple nuclear devices." His second-in-command, Officer Green, approached with a data tablet. "Sir, our scans show minimal orbital defenses. They have some primitive satellites and a few small space stations. Nothing that could harm our fleet." Reed's mouthparts curved into what his species considered a smile. "Just like all the other colonies we've conquered. They make big threats, but they have nothing to back them up with." He turned to his communications officer. "Send them our standard response." Back on Earth, Admiral Stone received the alien transmission. A hologram appeared, showing High Commander Reed in all his alien glory. The message was brief and arrogant. "Primitive species, your threats are meaningless. We have destroyed 100 worlds more advanced than yours. Surrender now, and we will make your extinction quick and painless. Resist, and we will ensure your suffering is legendary." Stone's face remained calm as he watched the message. He turned to his communications officer. "Send it again. Same warning. And get me Dr. Linda Taylor from Project Sunstrike." Minutes later, Dr. Taylor's image appeared on a secure channel. She was in an underground facility, surrounded by complex equipment that even most military personnel didn't understand. "Is it time, Admiral?" "They're coming, Doctor. Are the systems ready?" "We've been ready for 5 years, Admiral. The quantum network is primed. All satellites are in position. We just need them to get a little closer." She paused, checking some readings. "Do you think they'll listen to the warning?" Stone shook his head. "No, their kind never does. They see our limited space presence and think we're defenseless. They don't realize that we put all our resources into defense rather than expansion after our first contact with hostile aliens." "Their mistake," Dr. Taylor said with a slight smile. "Should we begin powering up the grid?" "Not yet. Let them think we're as weak as they believe. Keep everything dormant until my signal." Stone looked at the tactical display, watching the alien fleet's approach. "They'll be in optimal range in about 6 hours. Contact all defense stations. I want everyone ready but maintaining complete electronic silence." As the alien fleet moved closer to Earth, High Commander Reed watched with growing confidence. His scouts reported no movement of enemy ships, no power signatures from weapons, nothing but the same repeated warning message. "Pathetic," he muttered. They don't even try to fight. Plot a course for their planet. We'll begin the bombardment as soon as we're in range." Little did he know, he was moving his fleet directly into humanity's carefully laid trap. The real question wasn't whether Earth could defend itself. It was whether there would be any aliens left to spread the word about why you should always take Earth's warnings seriously. 20 years ago, Earth was a very different place. Dr. Linda Taylor remembered that day clearly as she worked in her underground lab. She had been a young scientist then, fresh out of college, when the first alien ship attacked a small town in Arizona. The aliens had thought Earth would be an easy target. They had been wrong. Her assistant, Rob Peters, interrupted her memories. "The power readings are all in the green. All 48 quantum satellites are ready." Linda nodded, looking at the massive wall of screens showing Earth's hidden defense network. What the approaching alien fleet saw as simple communication satellites were actually part of humanity's most powerful weapon. "Do you ever think about that first attack?" Rob asked, checking more readings on his tablet. "Every day," Linda replied, touching the old scar on her arm. "We lost my whole research team that day. But we also got something precious. Their technology." The memory played in her mind like an old movie. The alien ship had crashed after the military hit it with everything they had. Most people thought Earth had gotten lucky. They were right. But that luck had changed everything. Inside that crashed ship, scientists found plans for advanced weapons, star maps, and most importantly, quantum technology. While other countries rushed to build spaceships and guns, Linda and her team had a different idea. Why fight them in space? She had told the World Defense Council back then, when we can use their own science to hit them from Earth. The Council had listened. Project Sunstrike was born. In the command center, Admiral Stone watched the alien fleet's approach. He pressed a button on his chair, opening a channel to all Earth's hidden bunkers. "This is Admiral Stone. 20 years ago, we learned we weren't alone in the universe. We learned it the hard way." He paused, looking at the old photos on his desk. One showed him as a young soldier, standing in the ruins of that Arizona town. "But we also learned something else. Aliens aren't gods. They can be beaten." Around the world, military personnel listened to his words. In underground bases, on hidden islands, and in mountain fortresses, Earth's defenders waited. "The enemy thinks they know what we can do. They've studied our visible technology. They've watched our space stations and counted our ships." Stone smiled slightly. "They have no idea what's waiting for them." In the quantum lab, Linda ran another check on the satellite network. Each satellite looked normal from the outside, but inside they held crystals grown with alien technology. When activated, these crystals could capture the energy of the sun and send it anywhere through quantum space. "Final test complete," Rob announced. "Quantum link is stable across all nodes." Linda looked at the small screen showing the alien fleet. They were passing Mars now, their ships spreading out in attack formation. They still hadn't noticed that every piece of space junk, every old satellite, and every floating solar panel they passed was part of Earth's trap. "They're so confident," she said quietly. "Just like that first ship. They think size and numbers mean everything." In his command ship, High Commander Reed watched Earth grow larger on his view screen. His scouts had reported nothing new, just the same primitive defenses they had seen before. "Begin launching our first wave of probes," he ordered. "Let's see how they react to a closer look at their precious planet." "Sir," Officer Green reported, "their warning messages have stopped." Reed made a sound of satisfaction. "They finally accept their fate. Prepare the main fleet. We'll be in firing range in 4 hours." Back on Earth, Admiral Stone received word that the alien probes had been launched. "Dr. Taylor," he called over the secure line, "are we ready?" Linda looked at her life's work, the culmination of 20 years of preparation. "Yes, Admiral. Everything is in place. They won't know what hit them." "Good." Stone's voice was firm. "Let them come a bit closer. Let them think they've won. Then we'll show them why Earth's warnings should have been taken seriously. The trap was set. Now they just had to wait for the aliens to spring it. The alien probes entered Earth's atmosphere like falling stars. There were hundreds of them, each one scanning for military bases, weapon systems, and defense installations. On the main screen of Earth's Defense Command, Admiral Stone watched them descend. "They're looking in all the wrong places," Captain Wilson said with a slight smile. "That's exactly what we want," Stone replied, watching the probe's search patterns. "Let them think our defenses are as primitive as they look." A new message flashed on the main screen. High Commander Reed's alien face appeared, his 4 eyes blinking in what humans had learned was a sign of superiority. "Humans," Reed's translated voice boomed through the command center. "Your silence tells us you have accepted your fate. Wise choice. However, I am curious." He paused, mandibles clicking. "Why did you think you could threaten our fleet? What made you believe you could stand against us?" Admiral Stone straightened his uniform and stepped in front of the camera. This would be humanity's last attempt at diplomacy. Not because they wanted peace, but because they wanted history to remember they had given every chance for the aliens to retreat. "High Commander Reed," Stone spoke clearly and calmly, "this is your final opportunity to withdraw. Earth is protected by defenses you cannot see and cannot understand. If you proceed with your attack, you will be destroyed." In his command ship, Reed laughed, a harsh sound like grinding metal. "Protected? Our probes show nothing but primitive satellites and weak orbital stations. Where are these mighty defenses you speak of?" "Not all power needs to be visible," Stone replied. "You have 10 minutes to begin retreat. After that, we will consider your presence an act of war." While this exchange happened, Dr. Linda Taylor and her team watched the alien probes try to scan their facility. The quantum shielding made the entire base appear as natural rock formations. "They still haven't detected any of our systems," Rob reported, checking the readings. "The quantum masking is working perfectly." Linda nodded, monitoring the power levels of their satellite network. Each probe that passed through Earth's orbit added more data to their targeting systems. The aliens were doing their work for them, making their own destruction more precise. "All quantum nodes are staying dark," she said. "They won't detect anything until it's too late." High Commander Reed ended the transmission with Earth's leaders, turning to his bridge crew with what passed for a smile in his species. "Their defenses are pathetic," he announced. "Their threats are empty. Begin moving the first attack wave into position. I want their major cities targeted first." "Sir," Officer Green interrupted, "should we be concerned about their confidence? They seem very certain of their capability to destroy us." Reed dismissed the concern with a wave of his clawed hand. "We've conquered 100 worlds, all more advanced than this one. Their confidence comes from ignorance. They don't know what real power is." On Earth, Admiral Stone watched the alien fleet begin to move into attack positions. He opened a channel to all Earth's defense stations. "This is it, people. Everything we've prepared for over the last 20 years comes down to the next few minutes." His voice was steady, confident. "Remember your training. Remember Arizona. Remember all the colonies we couldn't save. Today, we show them what humanity can do." In her quantum lab, Linda's team finished their final checks. Every satellite was perfectly aligned. The quantum crystals were charged, waiting for the signal. 20 years of work, of secret preparation, of letting the galaxy think Earth was defenseless, was about to pay off. "Admiral," she called over the secure line. "They're moving into the optimal target zone. 3 minutes until they're in perfect position." "Understood, Doctor." Stone looked at the tactical display one last time. "Maintain quantum silence. Let them think they've got us right where they want us." The alien fleet's first wave of warships moved forward, weapons charging, ready to begin their attack. They didn't realize they were floating right into the middle of Earth's invisible web of quantum satellites. High Commander Reed gave his final order: "Begin the assault." Show them what happens to primitives who dare to threaten their superiors. It would be the last order he would ever give. The alien fleet moved through the asteroid belt like a swarm of deadly insects. Their massive ships pushed aside space rocks with energy shields, creating a clear path for their attack formation. On their sensors, Earth looked completely vulnerable. In Earth's Defense Command, Admiral Stone watched the tactical display with steady eyes. "Time to optimal position," he asked. 2 minutes, sir," Captain Wilson replied. "They're arranging their fleet exactly where we want them." The room was silent except for the soft beeping of computers. Every person there knew these moments would either mark humanity's greatest victory or its last stand. There would be no middle ground. Deep underground, Dr. Linda Taylor's fingers moved quickly over her control panel. The quantum network was humming with hidden energy, each satellite perfectly positioned in its orbit. Years of planning had taught them exactly where the aliens would place their ships. "Admiral," she called over the secure line, "I'm seeing power spikes in their weapon systems. They're preparing to fire." "Let them," Stone replied calmly. "The closer they get to firing, the less time they'll have to react." On his command ship, High Commander Reed felt nothing but satisfaction as his fleet moved into attack position. His tactical officers had arranged the ships in their standard attack pattern, the same one that had destroyed 100 other worlds. "Sir," Officer Green reported, "all ships report weapons are charged and ready. We have targeting solutions on their major cities." Reed's 4 eyes blinked in sequence. "Excellent. Begin the final countdown. We'll show these primitives what real power looks like." But something was bothering Officer Green. He studied his sensors again, puzzled by what he wasn't seeing. "Sir, I'm still detecting no defensive response from Earth. No ships moving to intercept, no weapons powering up. Nothing." "Because they have nothing to fight with," Reed clicked in amusement. Their brave words were just that, words. In her underground lab, Linda watched the quantum energy readings climb. Every alien ship that moved into position added more data to their targeting matrix. The quantum crystals in their hidden satellites were beginning to resonate, creating an invisible web of energy around the alien fleet. "Power levels at 90% and climbing," Rob announced. "The quantum field is stable." Linda nodded, her heart racing despite her calm exterior. "Begin final power transfer sequence. Remember, we'll only get one shot at this." The entire lab hummed with contained energy. On their screens, they could see the quantum field taking shape, invisible to normal sensors, but deadly in its purpose. 30 seconds to optimal firing position," Captain Wilson announced in the command center. Admiral Stone pressed a button on his chair. "All stations, this is the Admiral. Stand by for activation on my mark." He turned to his communications officer. "Send them one last message." High Commander Reed was about to give the fire order when the human transmission came through. It was just 3 words. "Time's up. Goodbye." Reed started to laugh, but the sound died in his throat as his sensor officer suddenly shouted in alarm. "Sir, I'm detecting energy readings everywhere. The satellites, they're not what we thought they were." In her lab, Linda's hands flew over the controls. "Quantum field at full power. Matrix is stable. Ready on your command, Admiral." On the alien ships, sensors finally began to detect what had been hidden all along. Each piece of space debris, each seemingly dead satellite, every bit of floating technology they had dismissed as primitive was coming alive with impossible energy readings. "Evasive action," Reed screamed, but it was too late. His ships were perfectly positioned, perfectly trapped. "All ships, fire," he ordered desperately. But the weapons wouldn't respond. Something was interfering with their power systems. Admiral Stone stood in the command center, his voice firm and clear as he gave the order they had waited 20 years to give. "Dr. Taylor, spring the trap." Linda's finger hovered over the activation control. 2 decades of preparation, all leading to this moment. She looked at the old scar on her arm one last time, took a deep breath, and pressed the button. "Quantum matrix activated," she said. "May God have mercy on their souls." The trap was sprung. Now came the moment of truth. The moment Dr. Linda Taylor pressed the activation button, space itself seemed to change. The quantum satellites, hidden in plain sight for so long, suddenly glowed with brilliant blue energy. Streams of light connected them, creating a massive web around the alien fleet. In his command ship, High Commander Reed watched in horror as his sensors overloaded with readings they couldn't process. "What is this?" he roared, all four eyes wide with fear. "How are they generating this much power?" "Sir," Officer Green's voice shook as he reported, "the humans, their satellites are creating some kind of quantum field. Our ships can't move." Reed slammed his clawed hand on his command chair. "Impossible. They're primitives. Fire all weapons. Launch all fighters." But nothing responded. Their mighty ships, capable of destroying whole worlds, hung helpless in space, caught in humanity's quantum web like insects in a spider's trap. In Earth's Defense Command, Admiral Stone watched the tactical display with grim satisfaction. "Status report," he ordered. "Quantum field is holding steady," Captain Wilson replied. "All 3,000 enemy ships are trapped. They can't move, can't fire weapons, can't even send distress signals." Stone nodded and opened a channel to the quantum lab. "Dr. Taylor, are we ready for Phase 2? In her underground facility, Linda checked the final readings. The quantum crystals were humming with power, channeling energy in ways that would have seemed like magic 20 years ago. "Phase 2 ready, Admiral," she confirmed. "The solar collectors are at full capacity. All quantum pathways are stable." She looked at her team, at the faces of people who had worked for 2 decades to prepare for this moment. Rob gave her a thumbs up from his station. "Beginning power transfer now," she announced. High Commander Reed watched helplessly as strange devices all around his fleet began to glow brighter. What he had dismissed as primitive satellites were transforming, their surfaces splitting open to reveal crystalline structures that sparkled like diamonds in the sunlight. "What are they?" he whispered. Officer Green's voice was quiet with realization. "Sir, they're not weapons. They're lenses." In the quantum lab, Linda's fingers flew over her control panel. Solar energy capture at maximum. Quantum tunneling pathways are green, ready for final sequence. Admiral Stone stood in the command center, thinking of all the human colonies that had been destroyed, of the people lost in Arizona 20 years ago. His voice was steady as he gave the final command. "Execute." The quantum satellites flared with blinding light. The energy of Earth's sun, captured and amplified through alien crystal technology, surged through the quantum tunneling network. In the blink of an eye, the power of a small star was focused directly onto the alien fleet. "No," Reed screamed as white light filled his bridge. "This isn't possible. They're just primitives." His last thought, before the light consumed everything, was that maybe they should have listened to Earth's warning after all. In her lab, Linda watched the energy readings spike off the charts. The quantum field contained all the power, focusing it precisely on each alien ship. There would be no debris, no explosion, just pure energy converting matter to nothing. "Energy release complete," she reported, her voice tight with emotion. "Target area is clear." Admiral Stone looked at his tactical display. Where moments ago there had been 3,000 alien warships, there was nothing. Not even dust remained. "Time from activation to completion?" he asked quietly. Captain Wilson checked his instruments twice before answering. 3.7 seconds. "Sir." The command center was silent for a long moment. 20 years of preparation, of playing weak, of letting the galaxy think Earth was defenseless, had led to this moment. 3,000 ships and nearly 1,000,000 alien invaders, gone in less than 4 seconds. "Send word to all stations," Stone ordered. "Operation Sunstrike is complete. Earth is safe." In her lab, Linda finally let herself relax. She looked at the empty space where the alien fleet had been and whispered, "That was for Arizona." The message was clear. Earth was not weak. Earth was not defenseless. And Earth's warnings should never be ignored. The quantum satellites slowly powered down, their blue glow fading back to dull gray. For a few moments, everyone on Earth held their breath, staring at the empty space where the alien fleet had been just seconds ago. Captain Wilson ran another sensor sweep, his hands shaking slightly. "Confirmed, Admiral. No debris, no survivors, no emergency pods. The entire fleet is just gone." In the underground quantum lab, Dr. Linda Taylor's team burst into cheers. 20 years of work, of secret preparations, of playing weak. It had all paid off perfectly. Rob hugged her, tears in his eyes. "We did it, Doctor. We actually did it." But Linda kept watching her monitors. Something was happening at the edge of the solar system. "Admiral," she called urgently, "we're picking up transmissions. Strong ones." In the command center, Admiral Stone leaned forward in his chair. "Source: the quantum field," Linda explained. "When it destroyed the fleet, it also captured and amplified their final distress signals. Those signals are now bouncing across the galaxy." Stone smiled slightly. "Just as planned. Play them." The speakers crackled to life with dozens of overlapping alien voices, all speaking their last words. "This is impossible. Their technology. It's beyond anything we've seen. The humans, they weren't primitive at all. The warning. We should have listened to the warning." The final transmission was from High Commander Reed himself, his voice filled with terror. "To all ships in the galaxy, avoid Earth. Their warnings must be taken seriously. They are not what they seem. They are not." The transmission cut off there. Stone nodded with satisfaction. "Send the backup message." Linda pressed a series of buttons. A new signal began broadcasting from Earth's quantum network, reaching far beyond their solar system. It was simple and clear. Earth offered peace. Earth gave warning. "Remember what happened here. Remember what we can do. We wish no war, but we will defend ourselves. You have been warned." In her lab, Linda watched the quantum energy readings return to normal. The satellites were repositioning themselves, once again looking like harmless pieces of space technology. "Damage report?" she asked Rob. He checked each system carefully. "Minimal power drain. The quantum crystals are already recharging from solar energy. We'll be back at full strength in 6 hours." "Perfect." Linda touched the old scar on her arm one last time. "The trap is reset, ready for anyone else who doesn't take us seriously." In the command center, Admiral Stone received reports from around the world. Every defense station was undamaged. The quantum network was intact. Earth's greatest weapon had worked flawlessly. "Sir," Captain Wilson called out, "we're getting signals from the colony worlds. They're celebrating. The alien fleet that had been terrorizing this sector is gone. Earth is being hailed as the protector of human space." Stone thought about how far they'd come. From that first devastating attack in Arizona to now, humanity had turned its greatest defeat into its greatest strength. Instead of building warships, they had built a trap. Instead of making obvious weapons, they had created something no one would suspect. "Send word to all stations," he ordered. Operation Sunstrike was a complete success. But stay alert. There might be others who need to learn this lesson. Linda's voice came over the comm. "Admiral, the quantum field recordings are complete. Would you like to see the replay? Put it on the main screen." Everyone in the command center watched as the recording played. In crystal clear detail, they saw the alien fleet trapped in the quantum web. Then came the burst of pure white light, and in just 3.7 seconds, 3,000 ships simply ceased to exist. "Save that recording," Stone ordered. "If anyone ever questions why they should take Earth's warnings seriously, show them this." He looked at the tactical display, now peaceful except for the normal traffic of human ships. They had kept their quantum technology secret for 20 years, letting the galaxy think they were weak. Today, that deception had saved not just Earth, but all of humanity's colonies. The trap was reset, the satellites once again looking harmless. Earth was ready for anyone else who might mistake patience for weakness, preparation for primitiveness, or warnings for empty threats. 1 week after the destruction of the alien fleet, Admiral Stone stood before the United Earth Council. The giant meeting hall was packed with representatives from every human colony and settlement. On the massive screen behind him played the recording of those crucial 3.7 seconds when Earth's quantum trap eliminated the greatest alien fleet ever assembled. "Ladies and gentlemen," Stone began, his voice carrying through the silent hall. 20 years ago, we made a choice. After the Arizona attack, we could have built warships. We could have created obvious weapons. Instead, we chose a different path. He gestured to Dr. Linda Taylor, who sat in the front row. Our scientists took alien technology and transformed it into something unprecedented. While our enemies watched us build small ships and basic stations, they never saw our real strength. In the weeks since the attack, the galaxy had changed. The quantum recordings of the alien fleet's destruction had spread to every corner of known space. Species that had once viewed Earth as an easy target now kept their distance. Trade ships requested permission days before entering the solar system, and always with their weapons powered down. Linda stood up to join Stone at the podium. "The quantum defense network is now fully recharged," she reported. "We've made improvements based on the battle data. If needed, the response time would now be 2.8 seconds. A councilman raised his hand. "What about other alien species? Will they try to steal this technology?" Stone smiled slightly. "They can try. But the quantum crystals self-destruct if tampered with. More importantly, our message has been clear. Earth is not to be threatened." On the other side of the galaxy, in a massive space station, alien leaders from a dozen different species watched the recording for the 100th time. They saw the mighty fleet trapped in the quantum web. They saw the flash of light. They saw 3,000 ships vanish in seconds. "How?" one alien leader asked. "How did we miss this? How did they hide such power?" Another alien, older and wiser, replied, "They didn't hide it. They warned everyone. We just didn't listen." Back on Earth, Linda walked through her quantum lab, looking at her team hard at work. The next generation of defensive satellites was already being prepared. Better, faster, even more difficult to detect. Rob approached her with a tablet. "Doctor, you should see this. We're getting signals from dozens of alien worlds. They're all requesting the same thing, peace treaties with Earth." Linda nodded. This was what they had hoped for. Not just victory, but peace through strength. Send them all the same message. Earth welcomes peaceful contact. Earth encourages trade and friendship. And Earth's warnings should be taken seriously. In the command center, Admiral Stone looked at the tactical display. Human ships were now moving freely through space, protected by Earth's reputation. Colony worlds that had lived in fear now flourished under the shield of Earth's proven power. "Captain Wilson," he called. "Status report." "All quiet, sir," Wilson replied. 3 alien trading ships requested permission to approach Earth. All followed proper protocols. No military vessels within sensor range. Stone looked at the image of the quantum satellites orbiting Earth, still appearing harmless and primitive to anyone who didn't know better. "Keep the system charged, just in case. There's always someone who needs to learn the hard way." In her lab, Linda finished writing in her journal. This would be her last entry about Project Sunstrike's development. The final line read, "20 years ago, they thought they destroyed us in Arizona. Instead, they taught us how to become strong. We learned patience. We learned deception. Most importantly, we learned to give fair warning. Now everyone knows, when Earth warns you to stay away, you should listen." She closed the journal and looked at the night sky through her window. Somewhere up there, the quantum satellites continued their silent watch. protecting humanity while appearing harmless. Earth's greatest defense wasn't the weapon itself, but the reputation it had earned. The galaxy had learned an expensive lesson. Earth's warnings were never empty threats. Sometimes, the most dangerous power was the one you couldn't see until it was too late. And somewhere in deep space, alien ships changed course when they neared Earth's territory, remembering the fate of those who hadn't listened to humanity's final warning.